Donald Trump won the presidential election here at PT with 57.1% of the vote. Hillary Clinton had 25.3% of the vote. Darrell Castle had half of a percent of the vote. Jill Stein had 1.7% of the vote. Gary Johnson had 12.2% of the vote, and other candidates registered with 4.1% of the presidential vote. As for U.S. Congressional District 18, 920 people, otherwise known as 95.2% of the people voted for Tim Murphy, and other candidates received just 5.3% of the vote. For the U.S. Pennsylvania Senate, 70% of the people decided to vote for Pat Toomey. Only 23.4% voted for Katie McGinty. For for Edward Clifford, it was only 5.6% of the vote, and other candidates received 1.9%. Now, for both Trent and Dylan, how do you feel that these results, now coming in finally, these races, I know Tim Murphy ran unopposed, but even for the Senate, it was pretty much a landslide. How do you guys feel about that?
You know what? I thought it was really interesting that the Libertarian candidate for president, Gary Johnson, received 12%, while Edward Clifford received, I think, what was it, 5%? I think that's interesting that people split their vote like that. Same thing with Jill Stein. I'm kind of surprised that she showed up at 2 or 3%. Sorry, I don't remember the official tally, and I'm not surprised at all that Donald Trump received such a high margin.
You know, Trent, I have to say that I kind of agree. It was interesting to see the third parties kind of make an appearance in this election here at PT. I think it's going to sort of show what America is going to start to see over the next 4, 8, and 12 years. I know that's very far out, but I really do feel that they're starting to shift away from the two-party system.
Well, definitely, especially considering Gary Johnson had 12.2% of the vote, and then Jill Stein accounted for another 1.7% of the vote. And that was just in the presidential race. Trent was talking about earlier about Donald Trump kind of running away with the presidential election, or our mock election here in Westmoreland County, which really doesn't come as a surprise. It's a fairly deep red area. Trump, of course, did end up with 57.1% of the vote, and Clinton with 25.3%. As for our Penn Trafford exit poll, we actually ended up with our 437 votes. 53% went to Donald Trump and 30% went to Hillary Clinton. Johnson had 14% and Jill Stein had 3%. Pretty much to wrap things up, thank you guys for watching. For everyone here at PTV, good job. Make sure, if you can, go out and vote tomorrow. And we would like to thank the faculty and staff here at Penn Trafford for allowing this to happen.